Good morning. On my channel today, it is early Wednesday morning and it is a monsoon in Toronto. The rain, thunder and lightning was substantial. I haven't been outside yet. It's just a little after 7 a.m. and yeah, so it was coming down. So hence doing a video in the studio. And normally I don't do a video this early in the morning, but there are some extenuating circumstances that are leading me to do this video. A couple things I want to touch on this morning. First, I want to discuss what happened at the U.S. consulate down on University Avenue yesterday morning. Between 4:30 and 5:30 a.m. yesterday, Tuesday morning in Toronto, there were reports of shots being fired at the U.S. consulate. Now, that's one thing I want to talk about. And the second thing I want to touch on, there's going to be maybe a couple more things, but the second major focal point of this video is NDP MP Laura Idlout. I believe that's how you pronounce her last name, but for all intents and purposes, let's just call her Lori Idiot moving forward. It's just flows a little easier off my tongue. And she's from Nunavut. She announced her floor crossing late yesterday, and a couple months ago there was rumors that she was going to cross the floor, and she said she couldn't cross the floor at that present time. So I'm going to get into that, but first I want to talk about the U.S. consulate shooting that occurred yesterday in Toronto. Now, I haven't heard anyone say what I'm about to say quite yet. I think it's a false flag event. I think that the shooting of that building or facility, whatever you want to call it, was staged. It wasn't a couple street level gangbangers. It wasn't a couple radical jihadists. It wasn't anyone from the IRGC either. And I'm going to tell you how I came to this conclusion. It was reported that a late model white Honda CRV was on camera down at the consulate, U.S. Embassy, whatever you want to call it, and two people got out with these and started firing at the building. Now, you got to ask yourself a question. What would prompt someone, even if you're the lowest IQ person on the planet, what would prompt someone to drive downtown where there are literally thousands of CCTV cameras, and especially surrounding that building? It's highly fortified. I was down there on Saturday. I'll put some footage of that video in this video. I was just down there at the Iranian rally Saturday, and I actually even pointed out the front of the building. They have an extensive camera system on the outside of that building. Right up to my right is the U.S. consulate, U.S. Embassy. Yeah, so the sign says it's 360 University. It's Consul General of the United States of America. It's been here forever. You can see it's seen a little action. People are chipping at the wall. I won't be one of them. Now, they went in with hand ones, and they got out of their little SUV and started, shooting at the building. Now, that building, by all accounts, can withstand a 50 caliber BMG rifle attack, or like a Mod Deuce, an M2 Browning. The building is fortified. The glass, I'm going to safely assume that it's probably 6 inches thick, and the actual concrete walls it's like an army fortress, a military base. So it doesn't make sense. Like, I understand a lot of these 68ers, these low IQ street level gangbangers that are doing the bidding of whoever will give them whatever, street cred, couple bucks, some drugs, one of these, two of these, three of these, who knows, to go and, here's an address, go shoot it up. Now, for two street-level gangbangers to be given the address on University Avenue of the U.S. consulate to go shoot that up, you'd have to come up with something quite lucrative to entice someone to do that. Now, because you're running the gauntlet of all the cameras. Now, the sophisticated camera systems are going to pick up every minute detail of those two shooters and their vehicle and this. Now, the the images that the Toronto Police Service would like you to believe are real, they're very grainy. You can't make out too much. That's all bullshit. These two people that were tasked with going and sending out a message to Donald Trump by shooting up the consulate, somehow on the Liberal payroll, in my estimation. Now, are they confidential informants for the TPS? Are they law enforcement officers themselves? Are they some sort of intelligence apparatus that is utilized in these sort of events? I don't know. It's not the same people going around shooting up boxing gyms, synagogues, and in Jewish girls' schools. It's not the same people. Or it could be the same people. Let me back that up. It could be, because we just had some recent shootings at a boxing gym with, I believe the owner is Iranian. He's pro-regime change. And we just had some shootings at, I believe, at a Jewish educational center and synagogues. So this has been ongoing for a couple years, the shootings. Now, is it the same people that are shooting up the other locations that have shot up the U.S. consulate? Okay, I don't know that. It's possible that these professionals are doing the circuit of drive-bys. It could be that. You have to understand that there is a very good possibility going down to the U.S. consulate to shoot it up, that there is going to be every resource put at that case to solve it. Now, the RCMP is involved, CSIS is involved, I would imagine the FBI is involved, Department of Homeland Security is involved, and other levels of U.S. Department of Justice people are going to be involved in this. So you would think you're not going to get away with this, with the sophistication that is being thrown at this case. But here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say no one's going to be apprehended for this. I'm going to say that no one is going to be apprehended for this because it is a false flag. I called this in my video last week when I went downtown, and I even mentioned that with the Matt Generous and the Michael Maas and the Chris D'Entremonts and now Lori Idiot crossing the aisle, they had to build up the rhetoric that politicians are being put in harm's way. Okay, so now, I said that last week, less than a week ago, I said that. And I touched on a story where I personally have been to someone's house that had bulletproof glass, that had sophisticated motion detectors and sophisticated camera equipment installed by the federal government. So, with the latest floor, okay, this all ties in, just bear with me here for a second. With the latest floor crosser, Lori Idiot out of Nunavut, they are whipping people up in Canada to a point where they are losing faith in the democratic process, which means if you're voting for an individual, then, months later, weeks later, whatever, they take the votes and they just cross the aisle. So this is getting a lot of people that are easily triggered very upset. I called this from, I would say, 2 or 3 days after the April election in 2025. I called that Carney was going to get all his floor crossers. I called it. It's on video. And so, this morning or late last night when I heard, late last night when I heard about this this latest floor crosser, at first, of course I was perturbed by it, but totally expect it, because what Carney's doing is a complete communistic takeover of this country. Now, I'm just jumping ahead a little bit here. I'm going to get back to the embassy in a second, or consulate. So my point I'm making is they are stepping up the rhetoric to put politicians in a vulnerable light, which means their life is being threatened. It's not safe for them to move about within Canada, because the people that are holding them to task on what they are doing could be possibly dangerous. So now you get people going around the city of Toronto and Montreal and Vancouver with hand burners, shooting at buildings. Like, this is a common occurrence in the tow truck industry. This is a common occurrence in the drug trade in Toronto, where they get 14-year-old 68ers, and that's 14-year-old kids with a 68 IQ. They just give them a burner and an address, and the Toronto police are handing out the addresses to these idiots. That's on record, okay? Hasn't been proven in court yet. But Toronto police are going into CPEC, the Canadian Police Information Center, and pulling up people's addresses to give to these 14-year-old 68ers, 68 IQs, with the burners to go shoot up a house, okay? So that's the level of corruption that we are experiencing in this country, okay? So they are making these random shootings of buildings commonplace. But what that's doing, it's massaging the psyche of the public to think, wow, we're living in a really dangerous society. But the politicians don't care how dangerous society is for you or for I. They don't give a shit, okay? They don't care, especially the Liberals. They are setting themselves up for their own protection detail because they know what is going to transpire moving forward, because they are putting the pieces in place to take this country over and make it a tyrannical dictatorship, a communistic dictatorship. And they know doing that, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to start getting very upset, okay? The gun grab. Why do they want to take legal gun owners' guns away? That's because they can't resist. Why do they want to take freedom of speech laws, or put freedom of speech laws on record? Bill C-9, which is getting close to being passed. Why do they want to do that? And so people like me can't go on YouTube and other channels of social media and discuss what they are doing to keep us under their boot. Like I said in my video yesterday, I use boot to the neck. So this is a well-played, well-scripted set of circumstances they're putting in motion. Now, Doug Ford, yesterday, he looks, I don't know, he just looks, his eyes are red, he's looking more bloated, he's looking more nervous. He went on at his podium yesterday, he's on record, on video, saying that there are indeed sleeper cells throughout the world of Islamic radicalists, and he specifically said there are sleeper cells in Canada. Now, I've touched on the sleeper cells. A lot of people are touching on the sleeper cells. I mentioned it in my video 2 or 3 videos ago. And it's a very real, distinct possibility that there are sleeper cells within this country, of course, because the Liberals have opened up the gate and invited them in. They know who they are. Apparently, there's 700 IRGC members within Canada. Now, where'd they get that number from? They know exactly who they are. They know pretty much down to where their address is, where they live. The Liberals have invited these people in to cause chaos, to use them for their end goals. Their end goals of a Mark Carney and his ilk, their end goal is to make this country a total pay-up Ponzi scheme cash cow for them. And in doing so, they are going to enslave us and put us in cages. And that sounds ridiculous, Dewey. How can you talk like that? That's where this is going. And I've known this for quite some time. The pieces are falling in place, okay? You don't allow millions of people into this country that are to a very high level unvetted. And we knew this in the United States. They let 20, 30 million in. We're just, with the Liberal government and the Democrats, like I said before, are playing from the same playbook. They are doing the exact same thing. But in Canada, it's a scaled down version because of our population. Now, we can't let in 20 or 30 million people, or Carney would. So he's letting in 1.2 million. Trudeau's letting in 1 million, 900,000, 800,000. It is all relative compared to our population size to the United States. Sleepy Joe Autopen. That fucking idiot didn't even know his name for 4 years. He didn't run nothing. It was the globalists. It was that pole smoking Barry Obama, Baraki. It was guys like him that have been indoctrinated into the pink triangle and the sexual deviancy group club that have allowed all this, and that's who's running us. Okay, this is my videos are going to get increasingly more, for lack of a better word, spicy. So be prepared for that. I'm not really going to pull any punches anymore. Sorry, I'm just jumping around a little bit here. The consulate was a false flag, completely staged by the Liberal government. Okay, number one. Number two, the Lori idiot floor crossing will pretty much ensure the Liberal government a majority come April 13th. The seat in Quebec was in question, whether they were going to win it or not, with the by-election on the 13th of April. The other two, Scarborough and University Rosedale, that was a lock. So now with this this mouth breather that just crossed the floor out in Nunavut, it is going to ensure they have a majority government. So then everything's going to be passed through. Whatever they want is going to be passed through. Whatever communist, tyrannical dictatorship they have envisioned is going to go ahead. Now, the country's already been decimated. This is just going to be the coup d'etat. This is going to be the nail in the coffin for this country. Okay, so you boomers, you elbows up people that have done quite well for yourself during the times where you could do quite well for yourself. Congratulations. You're fucking the rest of the country. That's what you're doing. You're fucking the rest of the country. You're fucking if you got any children or grandkids, you're fucking them. Now, for the other mentally challenged people that are still propping up the Liberal government, you know what? I'm going to see you on the street, because that's where you're going to end up, and I know you're going to end up there. You might already be there. There's a lot of people that I talk to that are homeless and drug addicted. They're still staunch liberals. It's because they get everything for free. They don't have the mental capacity to want to dig themselves out of the gutter. They want to stay in the Liberal gutter, and that's what it is. I'm obviously a little charged this morning, but that's the way it's going to be. Pierre Poilievre, step it up, buddy. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to get too much into him today. The consulate shooting. It was a terrorist act. Yeah, right. Okay, it's like going to a Brinks armored car and throwing rocks at it. That's what you're doing with one of these to the consul general. And one analogy I want to point out. With what Mark Carney's doing with the circumnavigation of democracy by luring these floor crossers over with mass amounts of money, and I touched on this yesterday, or I went through it in great detail in my video yesterday, that they have to generate black ops money to coerce these people to do what they're doing. And it's in the millions of dollars per person. And who knows what other benefits for life they've been promised. Now, liken it to this situation. The men's Olympic hockey final for the gold medal game between Canada and the U.S. Just imagine during the second intermission, 4 United States players walk from their dressing room into the Canadian dressing room and say, "Give me a Canada jersey. I'm now on your team," for the third period. Okay? They come out in the third period and, they get 4 goals, whatever, and they win the gold medal. Canada wins the gold medal because 4 defectors from the U.S. Olympic team crossed dressing rooms. Now, liberals, you call that a fucking win? I wouldn't call that a win. I'd be disgusted. I would be disgusted. I wouldn't want nothing to do with that gold medal, because that's not how you win. You don't win by being a sleazy bottom feeder, fork-tongued lizard. You win honestly, okay? This country's in deep trouble, and that Mark Carney, the fork-tongued lizard, is the ringleader. So if you're propping this guy up, you're the problem. And people like me are going to start identifying the problem. Have a good day.